From April 19 to 20, the International Symposium on Online Journalism occurred here at the Bautismo Museum of Art. People from all around the world attended this event to discuss data visualization, going mobile, paywalls, and the future of journalism. The conference was organized by UT's very own professor, Bercentil Alves. Can you tell us a little bit about the conference?
The 14th International Symposium on Online Journalism is the best ever, the largest, the most important that I have ever done. I think we have been doing symposia since 1999, and every year it is bigger than the year before, and this year is particularly big. We have about 370 people registered from more than 30 countries, and we were a trend on the Twitter 2 days in a row, even with all the news that were going, or the things that were going on in Boston and in Texas. So it had a repercussion that goes beyond the auditorium, the full auditorium here. And we have been discussing some of the most important issues in online journalism in this country from an international perspective.
I have traveled to Africa, Europe, and I'm looking at the Caribbean and Latin America to teach mobile journalism. I empower youth to use iPads and iPods to report the news, and my favorite memory of teaching is when we were in Morocco. We were actually in a small city called Mohammedia, and it was a place where women weren't allowed to congregate publicly without male accompaniment, and we were able to convince the men in the community that what we were doing was a public service. And initially the girls were a little bit scared, but they took out their mobile devices and came to life, and the men really welcomed them and talked to them in a way that was helpful and encouraging. And to me, it really illustrated the power of the mobile device as a storytelling tool to bring people together. If we'd gone in with bigger, bulkier cameras, I think people might have been intimidated. But because we had a small device that they may or may not have seen before, I think it was a little less intrusive.
Yeah. So what is some advice you would give to current journalism students?
Current journalism students should be nimble, they should be self-motivated, and they should always be in a mode of wanting to teach themselves something. They should not rely on a teacher or a professor to teach them everything that they know. Today's journalism student really has to take their education into their own hands and train themselves to become inquisitive using different devices and experimenting with different media. It's a little bit discouraging when I hear students say there are no jobs, because there are. As we learned in yesterday's keynote speech, there are huge opportunities for growth in journalism, but students have to be creative. So I would say staying on top of new skills and being inquisitive and coming to events like this, where we're trying to figure it out, is essential so you can stay on top of what's new.
How do you feel about people sharing graphic images on Facebook?
On Facebook?
Yeah, or social media.
I think it's up to the people. I mean, I think various organizations that provide these services should have controls to, like parental controls, parental filters, so people don't necessarily have to see things they don't want to. But how do you know? How do you know what's graphic or not? How do you tag those sort of things? Some of it is just individual responsibility, and it's about who your social friends are, who your followers are, who you follow, and if the people that you work with, the people that you are associated with through some social network are posting graphic images, I mean, then I guess it's up to you not to maybe you don't want to be seeing what they post.
Are they commonplace in newspapers or not? Because I know in Mexico it's more common to see those kinds of images than it is like on an American newspaper.
There are a lot of hard decisions that get made in newsrooms about...
so it's an ethical thing?
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people are exposed to this. I mean, U.S. news organizations go through this all the time, where they have to figure out what is an appropriate thing for our audience. And a lot of the time, they do post graphic content. Sometimes they might post it with a warning on it. I know the Wall Street Journal, where I work, has sometimes had slideshows that have graphic images in them, but generally there is some kind of, like, the very first slide of the slideshow will be a warning and say, like, please, note that this is graphic, you might find this disturbing, I think a lot of people in this country and in the media, they talk about, they have to be careful with some graphic images because, you might be exposing children to it. Sometimes people have no choice. I mean, these debates, there's a lot of debate about it. There's a lot of conversation about it, about the ethics of putting graphic images in the media. I think it's really a case-by-case decision. The news value of the image versus the potential, disturbing of, someone's well-being with the image. What's more important? How do you weigh those things? So that's a discussion that happens a lot.
This is Rosie Otome reporting.